Hello and welcome to the One Shot Show where GMs go to level up. If I was a player, I would know at the beginning of a campaign whether I was going to be going for like a fighter or a monk or a rogue. I have a book of options of my big characters available to me. But Matt, one of the things that I realized as I was prepping one of my long-term campaigns was that as a GM, I didn't have an easy go-to for the major characters that I would play, the archetypes and functions that I would play. So I've dug out of my old documents a bunch of Rogues Gallery archetypes for our episode today.
Yeah, and I mean, this is almost the counterpart to the series of episodes that we are doing on character archetypes and how best to cater to them. This is also for you as a GM. What are some of the villain archetypes? What are some of the antagonist archetypes? And how might you include them in your games? How do you approach them? And we've sort of picked one each. We've plucked from the list. We are today covering the Mastermind and the Muscle.
The Muscle.
The Muscle. I mean, do you want to take us away? You're full of muscle?
Yeah, let's start. Because I feel like the Muscle is one of like it's deceptively simple, like a steak.
If you were, for example, buying bread from a man in Brussels and he was 6 foot tall and full of muscle, and you said, "Do you speak my language?" and he just smiled and gave you a Vegemite sandwich.
This is the character archetype that we're going for, the villain archetype that we're going for. So, when I think of the Muscle, in literature, which is often where I go first in my thinking, I think of characters like Juggernaut from X-Men. I think of the Bond henchman. I think of Jaws, and I think of Jinx, and I think of the big one that I was going like, wow, where is the biggest example of this? And it's not even a movie that I've seen, but I'm so aware of the archetype. It's the Russian boxer in the Rocky movies, who is Drago.
Just this machine of a man.
Absolutely, and it's literally, it's all there. It is a physical threat that it feels insurmountable to the party upon first contact. The moment that this character, this villain archetype is introduced, they have their job is to intimidate through physical presence.
I'll give you a great example of what introducing that looks like, because another cool example of this is Thanos.
Yes.
Now, for all the other things that Thanos is, he's a great big slab of meat, and they impress that upon you from the outset by having his first act on screen being to beat up the Hulk.
Yeah.
Like, the Muscle just beats up your muscle. That's it. And in D&D, that looks like, okay, you got a muscle guy. Maybe it might be like a big bad villain. It might just be some goon.
Yeah.
But they beat up the barbarian.
Yeah.
Just trounce him. Yeah. Right. Love it.
It's such a clear, classic, iconic beat that I find always gets the table rocked up.
It's because it's very clear. It's one of the clearest measures of quote-unquote power. And it's just a very straightforward way of showing that this person is more powerful than you. They are stronger and bigger. Everyone instinctively understands that.
Yeah. What are the other classic moments that we associate with the Muscle? The one, when you're talking about that one, I think about...
Bane is another classic one when he just...
the back break.
Yeah, if you're looking at Dark Knight Rises where he breaks Batman's back.
Yeah.
And I mean, Batman is no slouch. His strength in his combat isn't the most impressive thing about him. He's a detective, first and foremost. But it's just this idea that, you can't beat this guy physically. Most of the other Rogues Gallery villains in Batman... sort of test his detective prowess, and it's about this chess match of him outfoxing them. Here is this one who he will ignore that and just come and beat you up.
Yeah.
You can't lean back on your problem solving because he will charge at you and beat you up.
Yeah.
And you can't try and beat him up instead because he can beat you up.
Yeah.
Like, Batman could absolutely spank the Joker 6 ways till Sunday if they got into a hand-to-hand situation. That's just the tacit understanding. That's why the Joker is always needling at his morals, right? He's needling at his other convictions and testing him in other ways that are not physical, because he loses the physical fight, and he knows that Batman doesn't go for the physical fight. And now he's a villain where that's not even the option.
Yeah.
That's a classic use of the muscle.
Yeah. I also think about that scene doesn't if you're going like, I don't want to go for one of my PCs, the idea of a muscle as a bully, the idea of the muscle going for like a small time NPC, going for the muscle like going for a minor villain and just like clocking them out, all very evocative, illustrative ways of letting your players know, like, this is the type of antagonist we're facing, and how to defeat them, which I think is so key to our antagonists.
Yeah.
Which is not written into your monster manuals. It's not written in there, but it's like, what is the potential pleasure of your players to defeat this villain? And my favorite one in this case is always Juggernaut. And this is based probably from a not very well-regarded X-Men TV show. It's X-Men Evolution. Love X-Men Evolution because it was my Saturday morning TV show.
But you're right, not very well regarded.
Not well regarded, but I friggin' loved it. And Juggernaut in that is established at a distance first, almost as a silhouette in the mind of Charles Xavier. Great if you've got a connection to a PC in there. But the way that they have to defeat Juggernaut is not through muscle against muscle, but there is a puzzle that is layered on top of it, which in the case of Juggernaut is to do with his helmet. But I love this philosophy in relation to the muscle, be it like when you design your encounter, go like, what is the pleasure that your party can have in finding a way that is the more brains against the brawn to defeat them.
Now, the other way to approach defeating the muscle is, of course, get stronger. That's how Rocky does it.
Yes.
It's the montage.
Yeah.
He simply gets stronger. And there is this real catharsis of your party, especially if your intro was something like he beats up the barbarian and just knocks him about silly. Coming back, because in D&D you have levels that give you real appreciable power spikes and increases, coming back in 3 levels time and being stronger than the guy who beat you up previously is extremely cathartic and a very satisfying way to beat a villain.
And it's a pretty natural cycle of leveled-based games, like we're saying. It's like, oh, this person who scared the shit out of you 3 years ago is now very easily defeatable for you. So cool. I'm also going to say, like, before the end, the muscle, I feel, is the most injectable villain archetype through all tiers of play. I
mean, the classic one, I've even done this before. It was, a local crime boss, and he had his 2 top goons who were just 2 great big fuck-off sized guys, and they were literally called Meat and Muscle.
Beautiful.
Like, that was the nickname.
You know what you're getting in for.
Yeah.
And you know
when the villain like sits across from the table and he goes, "These are my associates, Meat and Muscle." And Meat and Muscle are like 6'4", and just hulkingly huge. You instantly understand the threat at play and what's going on.
I feel like, hang on, you've just intimated, do we think we're done with the muscle? Do we feel like we feel muscled out?
Well, I was going to say, I think it's a natural lead through.
Because the muscle is not always, like, very rarely is the muscle acting alone.
Let's take our eyes from the 6'4" guys and wheel down, pan inward to the gentleman sat in between them, the local kingpin, the crime boss, the Mastermind. The Mastermind, and this is why I've chosen to talk about this one, is it's an archetype that I really enjoy using for my villains because they work really well at a lot of different scales. The Mastermind has a plan and they have connections. And which of those is more important to their villainy determines the scope that they operate at. The Mastermind with a plan is often your big picture villain, possibly your biggest picture villain. This is the someone who has big evil things in motion, who may even be the man behind the curtain for a very long time. The Mastermind in that instance, might even be actively avoiding revealing themselves. And it's only through this sort of distant touches of things going on that the party even learns of their existence.
Yeah, you might feel their presence long before you meet them.
They go to raid a crypt for a certain artifact only to find it has already been sacked. Now, in the immediate moment, the players go, well, that sucks because I was keen on this dungeon crawl. But they also go, but who came here first? And there may not even be a thread to follow.
Yeah.
It may only be later when they realize that there's been a pattern, that they start to feel the Mastermind's very distant touch. But I also really love the Mastermind as a low-stakes villain. A small, immediate, quick villain. That's also very beatable. Now, I'll take the example that I had of this crime boss with his goons meat and muscle. The party immediately realized they were outmatched here. However, the son of a noble couldn't help but run his mouth at this ruffian, furious that it was even in a joint associated with such people, and immediately wanders off and is like, well, we're clearly not going to work for that guy, right? The Mastermind has ears everywhere. The Mastermind heard that. So, 2 days later, they're making camp, and an assassin steals away into the camp, stabs the son of a noble with a poisoned blade. This killed that character. Now, they were able to get brought back because they were also a holy man. There was a bargain struck with their deity, but that is the threat of the Mastermind.
It's like ears everywhere. That's the
He knows
feature.
what you had for breakfast 3 days ago, and he's got the connections. He can afford this extremely stealthy assassin who uses a very potent, very expensive poison. The Mastermind has the necessary connections such that they don't have to do everything directly. They can sit back on this level and they can plan. They can go, right, that insult won't stand, and I need to set an example not just for the party, but for other people who might consider working for me, and for my own criminal network. They need to understand that I am still the scariest. Nobody is allowed to spit in my face. It wasn't even about the insult that the noble said at that point. It was about the Mastermind's own station in his place as a crime boss in this underbelly, because he knows that there are dozens of other masterminds out there. And again, it's one of the reasons I love Masterminds as a villain, is if you have a very complex campaign with multiple antagonistic forces, it works really well to have more than one of them be a mastermind.
Yeah, like if you knock one down, the other's going to usurp or
And
come
then
on
as
in.
the party sort of powers up and enters into that scope of activity, as they're sort of moving towards higher level play and also closer to conclusions of large narrative arcs, often what they're actually doing is they are picking a side. They're choosing whose plan they're going to follow and whose plan they're going to move against. But neither are the party's plan. You don't outfox the Mastermind by coming up with a plan of your own. You ally with someone else.
Yeah. I was going to say, the Mastermind is one of the few villain archetypes we'll talk about probably that can be beaten, quote unquote, through RP, through connections, through solving mysteries, through going to the authorities. It's one where it's kind of like where you can play a game of mental chess against them as opposed to a gridded 3-round encounter against them. Though the gridded, how would you, you've got a Mastermind, what is the...
Well,
let's roll initiative against one. What would that look like?
I mean, rolling initiative against the Mastermind never happens. They never let themselves get into that position. Because if it did, you'd beat the snot out of them. Now, the way I ran this particular crime boss is the party did give that a go. And he went, and opens his coat to reveal a menagerie of magical scrolls, the level and contents of which was unknown, but given his wealth and status, probably in excess of what the party could bring to bear. That's his insurance policy. And he is absolutely happy to spend that. So they went, all right, let's not. Any one of those could be a fireball.
Yeah. That's amazing. And also just beautiful. I feel like a Mastermind also, there is a promise of reward with a Mastermind almost. It's kind of like there's more than just the villain. There's information, there's resource, there's something else that's going on behind them that the party may want access to.
Now,
delightful.
If you want to have your party outfox the Mastermind, if that's how you want to get them. So the ways to beat them, the classic one is get them into a physical fight where they are lacking their tools and their defenses. You need to figure out how to disable it all. We're going to catch him, getting out of the shower, so he's not got his magical scrolls on him. We need to disable his security system on the way in. We need to, get his goons distracted into elsewhere.
Yeah.
Isolate them in some way.
Yeah.
The other way to do it is get so rich and powerful yourself, which again is something that, as we were talking about with destroying the muscle earlier, simply level up.
Yeah.
Because as you continue playing D&D, you get more powerful and you get more wealthy. Get to the point where you're so connected in your own right that you can contract the services of a lawful celestial to roll down into this den of ruffians and smite the Mastermind from on high. Because the other problem with defeating the Mastermind is the power vacuum, right? They're so connected. Usually it just opens up an opportunity for another criminal.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, if it is a celestial that comes down and hits them with the bitch slap of God, no one's going to take that chair on. No one else is going to sit there going, that's an opportunity for me to be the next arsehole to get smoked. No one wants that.
That's so funny.
It's beautiful.
It also makes me think that, there is no villain archetype that better sits with the GM than the Mastermind.
Oh,
you're literally sitting behind the screen.
You literally can hear everything they're saying.
You can hear everything they're saying. You pull
know
out
their
all
plans.
the cards.
They're telling them to you.
Yeah, so it's such a delightful one to play. Hey, this has been the One Shot Show. These have been part of our Rogues Gallery. We have more to share with you, and we hope to share them with you soon on the One Shot Show. Thank you for joining in, and we'll see you next time.
If you're enjoying listening to The One Shot Show, why not support us on Patreon? Go to patreon.com/OneShotShow, where you'll be able to find video versions of our episodes, long-form bonus episodes that we release every single month, access to our community Discord server. You can pose questions for our special Q&A episodes, and if you're back at the higher tiers, you can even vote on what questions we cover in our show. Check it out.